Welcome back to The Big Issue. Good morning as well to those of you who are watching us on television. The Big Issue, we are discussing the issue of the voters register, the new one that the Electoral Commission is going to compile, has divided public and political space. And this morning I have Sini Keslie for this. Sini, good morning. I have Honorable Nilanti Vanderpoy, Honorable Alexander Aban, who had the floor, and Selon Brandt here from Imani, Ghana as well. And for those of you who want to send messages in as well, our WhatsApp line 0549 986 996, 0549 986 996, or 0550 585 832. You can also reach us on Twitter on @Citi973 with the hashtag The Big Issue, or you can reach me on @EastSportsman via the same hashtag The Big Issue. Also streaming live on Facebook. So you can check us out there. So, Honorable Aban, you had the floor. After that, we can listen to Sydney.
Thank you very much. I was talking about the size, the population that is going to be used. Okay, the Electoral Commission's work would be for the, those within the voting age, right? Then the census would be for everybody in Ghana, right? Including migrants and all that. Okay. Of course, when it comes to census, the various indicators that they have to look at, the various variables that they have to look at, okay, is much more. Now, if we do things right, whether we do the voter register first or we do the census first, because the voter register, okay, is actually a segment of the population census. Because we are dealing with figures, we would not be materially different in terms of...
That would be the norm, were it not for the fact that the purposes are different in the sense that, and even the motivations, and we must take into account our political space. The need of our political parties to influence the population census is zero. The need of our political parties to influence a voters register is 100%.
Good. So it means then that if the political parties themselves, okay,
and there's no trust there. Let's be honest. You won't agree.
No, but the point is that
won't agree.
So you see, if the population size for the voter population, okay, becomes lopsided, it is not because the EC did not do its work well, but it's because the stakeholders, like the political parties, are with their vested interests, will even get minors to register.
That is why then he says that, why don't we do the population census, which normally does not come with that.
Create a control.
To create the control, then you do your voters register cleanup. Because then the population census will set a benchmark.
Good. My question here would be, would the political parties stop that influence? No.
No, but the political parties don't influence the population census.
No, but would they stop their influence in the registration of voters? No.
They won't, but that is why we would know if we have a bloated register. Because the population census will give you a space to work within.
Regardless, that's what I'm saying, that for whatever it is still the same population we are dealing with. Just that the voter register is just a segment of it. So regardless,
but it is one that your political parties keep putting your fingers into.
You let me continue.
No, but that is fact.
No. The thing is that for me, for as long as we are dealing with the same population size, okay, if we do things right, if the political parties are going to, without due respect, behave themselves well, we should not have a problem.
Okay, that is the ideal.
Good. So let's.
That is the idea.
Let's go on. That's exactly what we have to do.
Let me just ask a question. Why then did the Constitution in Article 45 and 47 propounded that we should be able, before in determining, the Electoral Commission determining and build the constituencies, should first have the population census, national population census? Is to be able to give you
the Electoral Commissioner
an idea as to the number of people living within a particular jurisdiction.
But the Commission is not going to create constituencies. So please, don't compare apples and oranges.
No, you let him go on. I'll come back to you.
Now, There was this issue of testing a new system.
Yes.
Right. I believe that the current system that we are using at one point in time was new.
Yes.
But not in the election year.
Oh, never mind.
I think the last one was an election.
At one point in time was new.
Yeah, it was an election.
And we tested it, if I should put it that way, right? I don't think that when you're using the word test here, it just means, you got it from the supplier, and the very first time you're going to deploy will be the election itself. Obviously, it goes through some kind of simulation and test runs and all that before you actually satisfy yourself that, yes, it has the necessary degree of efficacy, that it can be used for it can be scaled up to the wider population for the elections. So I don't think that should be a big issue for people to say that, because you are going to test it in an election year, it is likely to create problems. Now, the threats that you issued about Hong Kong being, that one, I think that is just mere bravado that you are just expressing.
Really?
There. Oh, yes. Okay. Discerning Ghanaians,
why don't you go to Tamale and tell the people who are
Ghanaians would not follow this kind of lead you are giving. Get your children to start the lead, and then you will follow. Okay. Anyway. Now, let us even go to the issue of the technicalities of
Ghanaians who are demonstrating
today.
Are not.
Would you allow me to go on?
Let him go.
I think I have
just want
with
you to understand that Ghanaians who are
I'll give you a
demonstrating today
rebuttal.
are not discerning.
I'll give you a rebuttal.
Let's withdraw the word discerning.
Let's go on.
That's why I said that the lead that you gave, because you gave a certain
I'm
example.
saying that people who are demonstrating.
No. Please, I'm not talking about
it's a very small part of the conversation. Let's focus on the big one.
Please, let's deal with the issue. Now, we talked about the lifespan of the equipment.
Yes.
The people
EC has explained that.
Who are using it say that, and then the suppliers have already stated that, you know what, the devices that you have that is storing the data, they have run their full course, right? I think that should rather give us cause to think that the use of it is rather going to create problems than getting new ones. Because you have been forewarned that, you know what, this thing that we have deployed over the period has run its full lifespan.
But is that not what the point,
right.
Is that not the point Selom made in the submission then, that when I go and buy something, I know the expiration date on it. So if the EC knew that by this point, the device would not be working, it will be running at a certain cost, why didn't the EC start this process 2 years ago? So that the issue of timing doesn't become a factor.
Good. It would have been ideal, right? It would have been ideal for the EC to have just said that last year, for instance, or last 2 years, that, you know what, by 2020, these devices would have run their full length. So let us... But the question is, looking at the time and the EC's own capability and the timeline it has given itself, regardless of the shortness of time, would they be able to do it and do it efficiently? If the answer is yes, so what? We go on.
But this is where the parties are also saying, some of the stakeholders are saying, we don't trust it.
As though they are the ones going to do it. You see?
But they are stakeholders.
Yes, they are stakeholders. They have to be part of the process as we go along. But we don't have to dictate to the EC. But you know what? The speculations that are coming are sometimes not born out of the technical issues that have been raised, but because people have suspicions that, the EC is doing this to favor a certain the current government. And you know, we have heard this many times, right? And then what even pains me is the fact that because they are going to do this, the motivation for it is not so much the sanctity of the data, okay, and its integrity, but rather because somebody is expecting some 10%. I think I heard Bernard Mona say that.
Yes.
Please, have we reduced our governance system just to that? That people think they can make some windfall out of some procurement deal, and that's why they want to go ahead.
But can you ignore his
I think we should ignore it.
and skepticism perhaps on this matter?
But the point is that is one of the reasons that he is saying we should not get a new register. That's one of the reasons. that is because somebody thinks that the opportunity has beckoned itself for somebody to make cool 10% of the contract sum into their pocket.
Because most of the time when we go and check, that is what it comes down to.
But you see, it is just emphasizing the point that we are a very corrupt society. Because, when I hear this thing, sometimes it pains me because it is something I would not do. What history has probably the commission or Jean Mensah as a person demonstrated for anybody to come and say that, oh, she wants to do this because she's going to get 10% out of it? I think it's a slur on her integrity, and we should not do these things at all.
Thank you very much.
I think I have not finished. Please, with all due respect to you. Now,
don't worry, I gave you quite a bit of time, so he can go.
He's had more time than me.
No, he's not.
Nilante was talking about facial recognition not being foolproof.
Yes.
And so he's making
the
big
EC,
issue out of it. Yes, the
commissioner
EC,
we interviewed said so.
And I think that when I started my submission, I've even said that no such data or such exercise would be foolproof or sacrosanct, right? But you see, it is just like building evidence in court, right? You have various strands of evidence put together which would lead you irresistibly to a conclusion. And so, for instance, we have your thumbprint as one. We have, let's say, somebody who knows you to come and say that, no, he lives here as another. And then your facial recognition. So all put together, no, he's him. It is him. So let him vote.
And
so
the current system hasn't got that.
Has the current system got innate facial recognition? No. So it's just an addition to it. I think that we should rather encourage the EC, as I started from the start, okay, to come out with a very credible register, all of us helping. Because in any case, from the start, all political parties are part of all the processes until the end, right? So what at all?
I have a question. Final
you can ask me the question. Let me answer and then we can go on.
Sydney, please. Do you think the timing of this is right?
For as long as EC looking at all the factual circumstances available to them.
It's only for the EC to determine.
Think that, after all,
the timing, it is only for the EC to determine.
For me, I think we should allow the EC to determine. Okay. All that we need to do as stakeholders will be to give our advice.
Point made. Salom, you wanted to make some input, then I go to Sydney.
Yeah, I think that we also have to be very careful and clear here. What are we talking about when we say a voters register? One, what are we talking about when we say devices? Two, what are we talking about when we say data? Three. The EC's major argument here is that the devices are obsolete. They've reached end of life. Verification issues are such that if you look at it, there is about a 0.8 to 0.9% chance that there will be manual verifications. And that will amount to about 72,000 people, 72,000 voters, assuming 12 million people, register. 12 million people vote this year, 72,000 people, and that number is significant because it can balance the election, results. I believe that if that is the error rates, and then that is one of the main reasons why they are going to do the new register, we have manual verification systems in place. We have party agents in place. There are very vigilant people, usually at all of these policing centers. And actually, when it comes to manual verification, the scrutiny is even more because it's not just one person that makes the decision. It's a bunch of polling agents, as well as even the electoral officers themselves who make the decision. If that is the major underlying reason why they need to spend all that time, money, logistics, etc., to do or rush in this particular project, then I believe that that is a threshold that we can manage. If they say that the devices are old and spoiled, now we then have to review even the procurement policies of the EC itself. and put it under a magnifying glass and ask ourselves, is the EC or has the EC throughout its procurement activity over the past election cycles or anytime they're about to do these things, do they really run these things with prudence? Because it's a big indictment on the Electoral Commission itself for them to say that even though they've been using this thing for 7 years and all of that, they've reached end of life and all of that, they didn't have any provisions in these contracts to ensure that there is some kind of constant upgrade of services, to the extent that knowing that we are in the computer world, and 2012 is not the Stone Age, 2012 was just 7 years ago, they didn't have in contingency measures such that there will be continuous updates, which they should compel the vendor to have produced and done and executed such that these systems will be future-proof for a certain time period. To the extent that you have systems that are failed and therefore we should throw them away and then they do it. We are not a rich country. This is Ghana. This is not Norway. So when we are doing these things, we do it from a poor man's perspective. Like those days when we were kids in the PNDC era, when you buy a shoe and you wear it, they buy a shoe that is about 2 sizes bigger, so that and they tell you to walk well and don't kick stones, because you know that that shoe is going to last 2 years. I mean, that kind of mentality should be in our in our procurement activity. To the extent that you say that because the things are old, they've reached end of life, when you put your thumbprint on it, it doesn't respond. So we should throw them away and buy new ones, all of that. What was the plan that was made when you were buying these things? And are you making the same plans now? Because if you have that mentality, what shows that you still don't have that mentality today? Are you learning from your previous procurement activity? 3, the data aspect. Which for me is one of the main or major components of the electoral register, is the data set that we have. Is it credible as of today? I think that if you follow the EC's argument very carefully, what they are saying is that their devices are obsolete. That's fine. But we have data.
The data.
What kind of agreement was done with the vendor to transition that data possibly onto new computer systems? The argument that a data center doesn't have funds is, for me, is very ridiculous.
The cooling center.
It's very, very ridiculous. It's very, very ridiculous. The argument that, the operating system of the software is Windows Server 2003, and then it moved to 2008, and there's Linux Red Hat 5.8, which is what the EC said, is also neither here nor there, because it behooved on them to have told their vendor or part of the contracting that when these systems are running, because they are going to be running for a long time, it's a matter of national significance, you actually ensure that these systems are upgraded. Nevertheless, you can still migrate that data. The data is not operating system dependent. The data runs on databases, whether it's Oracle, Postgres, MySQL, or whatever. These are databases where data is extracted from. There are data systems today that have been running for the past 30, 40 years. I'm sure if you go to Bank of Ghana, they didn't just pick the data up from the sky and then started running with it somewhere from 2018. It's data that has been there from the time punch cards were still used to store data, that they have consistently upgraded and migrated. So you cannot come and sit here and tell me that you need a whole new register, a whole new registration exercise, because you need new devices.
I get you.
And so we have to be very clear about the procurement policy itself of the EC. What do they want to achieve? Are they saying that they are going to dump all the old data down and then get totally new data? That's one. Are they saying that their devices are so obsolete that they need new devices for fingerprint verification, facial recognition? And for me, I have reservations about the facial recognition because, first of all, it's connectivity that good that in some place between a friend is saying Rara and Yendi, in the middle somewhere there, what kind of are we going to connect to a cloud? Is EC going to have its own ISP that is going to do that? What kind of systems are they going to use to transfer the information in real time, such that they'll be running the queries every second to compare the physical data that the picture takes to a particular data set to return the response right at the time when the people have queued to vote? we have to think about those things. The logistics around the facial recognition is not just a matter of wishful thinking. It requires a lot of consideration, technical consideration, that I don't believe we have the necessary infrastructure today, Ghana, 2020, now, to run.
All right, then. Point well made. Sydney Kisleaford, let me just read a couple of messages, then we hear from Sydney, and then take wrap-up comments from Honorable Nilanti and Honorable Aban, and then we move on to the ambulance issue. Okay, so messages that are coming in via our WhatsApp line. Let's see. Okay, good morning, sir. The NDC party think that they can take the people of Tamale for a ride. When it comes to mass action, they always start from us. But when it's about appointments, we have to destroy party paraphernalia before it's done. Do we remember what happened under Mahama in 2013 before Honorable Arena Idrisu got appointed? Monkey they work, baboon they chop. This is Umar who sends this one in. Okay, this one is on the ambulance. We'll read that later. Godfred, I don't understand the NDC. In a time that a lot of people won't be voting, I think the time that a lot of people will not be voting is the best time to register people. I am surprised Honorable Latevander Poy does not like the EC commissioner. Has he soon forgotten, I love it, I like it? Who is more arrogant? This is Yesuvi asking you that one. And then...
Shall I say
the logo?
Kweku Maison from Afinia Matayeko says, why is the MPP government now calling for a new voters register? Is it not the same old register which brought them to power? Are they sure they will win? Are they sure they won the election 2016 genuinely? I now understand why Kennedy Japan said that.
Is the MPP calling for the register?
Pardon?
Is the MPP calling for the register?
Yes.
Really?
How? Is it easy? Please.
Oh, okay, yeah, meaning that regard.
For the register.
Right,
It's
there
not,
you see.
Please.
There you see. That's fair comment. Godfred, I have heard some comments that the EC is autonomous. We were in this country when the NPP in opposition took to court the people who registered with NHIX cards and had them annulled. Nation records? The message is quite complicated. Godfred, ask the panelists who are against the new voters register whether they will use 2012 car model and why, when it comes to national issues, they are always against it. Okay, so these are some of the messages that...
I'm driving 2010 car model. It's very effective.
I bet you that almost all of us
use old car model.
No, he's not using the old car model.
He's using an
I
old
said
car model.
almost.
No, almost. If you
No,
say
I have
almost.
seen his car. It's an old car model.
Oh, which one?
Yes.
I'm a
Civic
which
is
one?
Leoford.
Why
Over to
do you
you.
want to pick me on?
Honorable Aban's car I can vouch for. I have seen it several times. His Toyota is an old model.
Which one? The Toyota is.
The brown
What about
one.
Land Cruiser?
No.
Which Land
He
Cruiser?
uses a saloon.
That's for
You
Sunday.
haven't seen the Land Cruiser?
It's okay.
when the state gives me Land Cruiser that I should use for its purposes, you say I'm using Land Cruiser as though it is mine. Look,
But it's a new car.
when we step out there, you can take it out. You can take it. it's for the state. You can take it.
Civic is Leoford.
Oh,
Let's
dear.
hear from you.
We have started the year. Thank you. Good morning, everybody, and Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Before I really get into this, can you give me a few moments? Let me give a shout out to the nurses who have looked after me all last year
Yes.
and seen me into this year. I'm very grateful to them for their professionalism and care. Hetty, Gifty, Francisca, Rose,
A bevy of ladies.
Nana Oye, they're all ladies except for one, Patrick. And they do an excellent job with their care, and I'm very, very grateful. At least I can see myself into this year back again. Statistically, I shouldn't be walking around, but I am. So I'm very, very grateful to the crew there, and of course to Audrey, who supervises the whole team. So thank you, girls.
Almighty God.
I don't do God. I do human care.
You don't want to take Sydney there this morning.
We don't want to go there. So
I've been praying for you. That's what I'm talking about.
but then continue,
Yes.
because it's having an impact. But I'm not going to go there with you this morning.
Okay.
Let's
Sydney,
deal
continue.
with the human issues and move
My
on.
own cousin.
So I'm grateful to all the young ladies who have looked after me for all this period of time, at least a year.
They are young ladies.
Yeah, all of them. Unmarried young ladies devoted to medicine and nursing. They're very, very, very,
We thank
very,
them as
very,
well.
very dedicated. So we're back again. I heard a very, very interesting radio discussion about a couple of weeks ago. It was I don't remember what station, but the NDC panelist on there was saying that they have arrived into the new year 2020 very, very sad, hungry, tired, disappointed, disaffected, and worried that the country is virtually collapsing at this stage of our development. And I thought, well, it's a perspective. That's how the NDC person on the panel felt. And it's interesting. So we all have a whole different angle that we look at when we come to these various issues. Now, this particular issue of the voters register, I don't understand. Really, I don't understand it. We are going to compile one register. That one register is what we are going to use to identify voters and check the integrity of the voters. The population census, let me deal with that first. We do a population census once every 10 years.
Yes.
The last one we did was in 2010. If you take the population and you grow it according to the international development statistics, 2.5% growth for developing economies from 2010 to now, 2020, you will come up with a figure which is as close to 32 million as you can possibly get. That's the way the pattern is.
But hold on there. But if you also look at the data from the National Population Council, our population growth falls above that.
Well,
It does not fall within
individual countries.
the global the index.
Individual countries
They are
will
very
differ.
worried about that.
Individual countries will differ because we all have different sexual patterns.
Yes,
So
definitely.
there's nothing you can do about that. You can't go and check.
No, but I'm just saying there's an average that
Yes.
you would expect. But I'm saying that average will not apply to us because ours is significantly above that.
No, it applies to us. Do the numbers and you will see it applies. Even if you go back further to previous population censuses that we did, and you take it from there and you grow it 2.5%, you will come up to approximately the figure that we have today as we count. 2010, we did a detailed count. And for the first time, it was pretty free of any interference. And we did get an accurate enough number. Now, we are going to do a 2010 census.
2020.
And I can't understand the argument that is being put forward that we should do the census first before we do the voter. The objectives are completely different. Okay? Voters register, we want to see how many people are eligible to vote in the country, over 18, Ghanaian, etc., etc. Population census, we just want to know how many of us are there, okay, in the country. Not only here in Ghana, but also those sitting everywhere else in the rest of the world. So we come to an idea for planning purposes. The voting thing is different. The argument that we should be making has to be, in my opinion, what is the number of people eligible to vote, okay, who are going to be on the register? The argument of the equipment being obsolete, systems being this, facial recognition to improve the integrity, frankly, is neither here nor there.
That's the case the EC is making.
That's the case everybody is making, that we don't need to go and spend 400 million on new equipment. But you cannot take a 20-year-old car and drive it from here, Accra, all the way to Bolga, and expect that you will be accident free. There might be a few issues because the thing is old, it's obsolete. Even when you go and you have a calamity on the road and nobody has the spare part to fix it, you are finished, you are stuck. So that argument of equipment upgrade, all right, and bringing it up to a modern system, we shouldn't even be discussing it. It's something that has to be done. Okay, we have to have a plan in place. Selim was trying to make the case that where is the plan that says that every 8 years or every 4 years or every 12 years, we are going to change the systems and upgrade it. Fine. That has to be in a plan. It has to be in a consistent plan. We might even get to a point where we will say, oh, there is no need for all of this. All we have to do, sit at home, get onto our phones, apply our voter app, scan your retina, put it inside, and you have voted. It might get to that stage one day, all right, if we continue to vote as a country. Okay, there's also the argument that we are moving to a point where we don't even need to vote anymore. Okay, and the whole political system and the whole political way we do things might change. All those arguments for me are moot.
Okay.
You don't need to worry about it. We have put up an institution, an electoral commission, and we have tasked them with ensuring that we have accurate, credible, reliable, and accepted voting in the country. Let them get on with the job. You see, all this disruption that we do, not we do, but when we say we, the political parties, all right, all this disruption they get up to at the end of the day, it's just a lot of hot noise for no reason, okay? And all it does is it puts us back, okay? If the EC can do its job, let it do its job. If they have problems with the integrity of the EC, the MPP too had problems with the integrity of the previous EC. Some people too had problems with the integrity of Afarijan. All right? Luckily for him, he spanned more than one administration. So he has played on both sides. At one time, he was batting NPP. At the other time, he was batting NDC. I think that the political parties are becoming too much of a nuisance in the country. This is a complete nuisance that we are working on. And all the time we are spending discussing and debating it, there is no question about the fact that you can have a new register in place long before we start voting. You can upgrade your systems, have it changed and have it perfected. You can have new hardware, you can have new software. It doesn't take that long. All right? What takes long is checking to make sure that the system actually works and works properly. And that you need to give a little bit of time. And even that, if you have a test sample that you work with across the regions and everybody, and you do that test sample, you can have it done and ready within 2 months. But in 60 days, you can have it done.
What do you make of those who say, well, there seems to be a lot of policy dissonance? So we have the population census upcoming. You are doing national identification in there. Perhaps the EC could have considered all these factors in its planning as well.
All of those things can converge in the near future. All right? It can converge. The population census will be done in March. All right? Usually, it goes on for quite a while. And then when they start compiling it and putting it all together, that is what drags on. And we usually get the census results the following year.
Yeah.
We don't get the results in this year when we do the actual census. So if you say you're going to wait for the census, then you have to wait and postpone the election. So for me, that argument, waste of time. Let the census go ahead because its job is to count the number of Ghanaians there are in the world. Let that go ahead. It's totally independent of what we are doing now. We do that, we have an idea of how many people are over 18 and can vote. That doesn't mean that everybody who is over 18 must vote. Voting is a voluntary thing.
Yeah.
It's not compulsory. So if we have 12 million people above 18 and only 8 million decide to vote, separate matter altogether. You cannot extract that from a population census because the population census's job is not to go and register people to vote. Okay? separate exercises altogether. So let's get that done.
Okay.
All right? We finish that. Let's concentrate on validating the number of people who are eligible to vote. That is what we need. If the political parties are worried that somebody is going to cheat, which is what it's all about at the end of the day.
Yes.
MPP is worried when they were in opposition and that NDC will cheat. NDC is worried that others will cheat. If that is the issue, then let us make sure that we have in place enough integrity in the register that nobody will be worried and confused and keep saying that somebody else is cheating. Listen, the register that we have now, if you go back to 1992 when we started, consistently there have been mechanisms and ways for the political parties to put names on that register which were not valid. They both do it. Some people put on the register children who are underage. They make it a point to go and round them up and get them to vote. Trust me, some people have gone to graveyards and cemeteries and recorded names of people there and put it on the register. I can tell you, hands-on experience, I know people who have been involved in doing that, who were recruited specifically by the political parties to do that and to bloat the register in their favor.
Okay.
This has happened. It has happened in the past and it happens now.
Vote?
How would you vote?
Yes.
You just need a voter card.
Oh, how?
You need a voter card with somebody else's picture on it.
Somebody has gone to write name of somebody who is dead from
Absolutely.
the cemetery.
Yes.
And to put in the register.
Yes.
That day of elections, will the person come from the grave to come and vote?
Doesn't have to. You give the card to somebody else, and the
how?
person goes with their picture on the ID card. In fact, don't forget that there was a time when we didn't have picture ID.
Yes.
We
We're
only
talking
had
about
name
now.
ID.
We are talking about now.
No. I'm talking
he's
about
just
the
talking about
past
what
and
has
what has happened and how the register has come to become bloated.
Oh, but those registers, 92, there is
Don't worry,
no
Sydney, you have 2 minutes.
Absolutely. So that when somebody says, which is what I'm hearing now, that all you have to do is to migrate the data from the old system to the new system, all right? Then all you're doing is you're migrating wrong identities. You're migrating wrong data, okay? The fact that you are doing a migration and you're putting it onto a new system because you're trying to save money doesn't mean that you change the integrity of the information. If the integrity of the information is wrong, if it is crap already, you are just exporting crap.
But the integrity of the data has not.
Has it been questioned as the main, one of the main?
Of course it has.
The EC has not said that.
The EC has never
EC has
stated
never
that.
said
Those
that.
of us who have lived long enough,
No, Sydney.
No, but let's
Sydney,
deal with what the
enough.
EC
We
said.
know.
The
We
EC
know.
in its official
The EC has
statement
never said
about
that.
the new voters register has never
said.
ever indicated
That
in not
the
even
data
a
is not
single
credible.
line about the integrity of the data. And none of the political parties in their agitations
Have
for
said so.
or against
Have talked
the
about the
voters registration has talked about the integrity of the data. So that has not been part of the
you mean
the
this
process.
year or in the
This
past?
No, this
particular
one,
one.
this particular conversation.
And what about the past?
No,
Have
we have the
political parties-
context for
But
me
isn't
is
that
about
something-
this
isn't that-
particular
isn't that
one.
something that we know? Isn't that something we can take for a given?
So why
Because-
didn't you say so?
Exactly.
You've had press conferences. You've not
in
said
my
so.
argument,
Are
in my
you saying,
argument, I
are
think I
you
told
saying
you
that we have never
as-
had arguments about a bloated register in
No,
this
but hold on.
country?
I'm saying we are dealing with what is. We can't start to impugn things
fact,
on
if there is-
say, organizations.
if there is-
The
And what-
EC has
and what
outlined a
is-
list of
and
If there's
what
reasons.
something that the
is-
EC has rather
and
said,
what
they say
is-
the data they have is credible.
It's credible.
That's what they said.
The EC has never said what they have is not credible in terms of data.
So why have the political
because
parties
Sydney-
always
Sydney-
argued about bloated
Sydney-
register?
But,
if I-
but
if
that's,
I-
what,
I will
that's the
argue.
point we're
You
making.
see-
That even those who are against it are not talking about the credibility of the data. They are simply saying that the timing is wrong and that the request to use new machines is misplaced.
Look, there was a court case,
Yes.
all right? I think, was it Bernard Muna and somebody went to court?
No, Abu Ramadan.
Abu Ramadan.
Ramadan.
All right.
The famous one, yes.
And 57,000 names,
Were
more or
struck
less, were struck off the register.
Yeah.
And even that, people just compromised and said, okay, 57,000 is all that you are saying. This was the Charlotte Osei Empire. Yeah? 57,000 names. So take those off and let's move on.
No,
This is what
the
happened in
people were given
2016.
opportunity to re-register
Register.
using approved identification
Yes, instead of the voter register.
instead of the national health insurance.
Health insurance.
Sorry, National Health Insurance. So we did some cleaning.
Yes.
And it was accepted by both parties.
Yes.
Let's move on.
Yes.
Then we voted in 2016.
Yes.
But there was still the issue of whether or not all those names, all the misplaced identities had been cleaned or not. Nobody is going to tell me here in this country that the register that we have, there have been no complaints about it being bloated.
No, I'm saying,
This is something that has,
no,
this is something that has been in the media for ages.
Sydney, all I'm saying is that in 2016, for instance, the NPP publicly raised those questions prior to the elections. But what the situation that is being dealt with now, the reasons that have been put out by the parties officially in all the press conferences and whatever, this is not one of them. This time, I can't take 2016 data to have this conversation.
The arguments that are being made, number one, costs.
Yes.
But why are we going to spend 440 something million on a new register?
Second, timing.
The counter argument against that is that the previous NDC government spent more than that on a limited registration exercise.
Yes.
No, I'm not.
1.7 billion.
I'm not saying one or the other. I'm saying that these are the arguments that are being made, and these are the counter arguments that are in place. So that's number one. All right. So the cost is neither here nor there, and then you need to ask yourself, of what value? Of what value is it?
Yeah. See, a minute more.
For us to take the risk, all right, of going ahead with obsolete equipment which might or might not fail in the middle of
the race.
Of the race and in declaring the results. So you need to take that into
But the
consideration.
new equipment can also fail.
Anything can fail.
Yes.
Even you as a human being, you fail. And me, I'm sitting here, I'm failing. So, you know, why do we worry about that?
All right. Points well made.
If the human person itself is not 100% foolproof, how can equipment be foolproof? Equipment can collapse any time at all. You were making the example, was it not you? Was it Alex?
Your time is up.
Yeah, about the car. You can go and buy a brand new car. You drive out and it'll collapse.
Yes.
So that is not.
So we are talking
that
about
is not a problem.
At least we can trust.
But the probability is.
But you
always
improve your chances of going forward and things not failing by having
I'll give you just a minute.
More updates.
Okay. Just a minute. Thank you very much.
Just
a minute.
This question about
I have to chase ambulances.
This question about the register and all those things. The processes of our elections provide all of us the opportunity to improve upon the register. Don't we have exhibitions? We have exhibition. What are exhibitions meant to do? One, for me to go and check whether my name is still in the register. And two, to be able to indicate to the EC those relations of mine or within my community who have passed on. Are we not building on the integrity of the data? Two, I have said that, look, this issue of people calling about systems, I'm saying that it's better, like Salam said, to improve upon what you have with the surety that this one is tried and tested.
Okay.
You understand? I don't have...
It's not better. It is better to get a brand new car than to keep fixing the old one.
You also have just 1 minute on this.
Okay, thank you.
I can talk about ambulance.
Yes, thank you. I just want to maybe throw into it an aspect probably that we have not even...
In a minute. You can do that in a minute.
In a minute.
Okay.
An aspect that we have not even adverted our minds to. If we should look at the response that Charlotte gave during the period of going through their... when they were being impeached, if I should put it that way.
Okay.
One of the reasons was that Amadou Sule could sit in his office and do illegal transfers. Yeah. Right? Now, I think we're told that the code for doing all these things were with STL. Right? How could somebody sit and do these things? Does not even compromise the thing? Yeah. That's just a question. We must go and read answer.
Oh, well, but we do know that Madam Mensah has cleared STL and all those people from the system, has she not? So anyway, we'll move on with the conversation. Let's talk some ambulances because the week started with ambulances because public opinion, there was outrage, let me put it that way, at the fact that there were a lot of ambulances parked at the forecourt of the State House awaiting distribution, and they were not going anywhere. According to the National Ambulance Service and the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Special Initiatives, certain things needed to be done to the ambulances before they could be moved on. Civil society organizations, some said, well, no, simply send the ambulances and whatever needs to be done can be done from there because lives are being lost every day, cannot wait. But the state is also saying, well, look, once we've spent X amount of money to bring these ambulances here, we must give them the best opportunity to operate efficiently and to last longer. So they need time to train drivers and paramedics better. They need time to put in tracking systems. They need to label them. They need to create repair centers in parts of the country. All these things need to be done. And all that finally led to a new date. January 28th, Honorable Aban, if I'm not mistaken, is when you are sharing the ambulances. Okay, so it looks like yes. So that is what the situation is. We'll hear from the Minister of Health, and the Minister for Social Development Initiatives, Mavis Howard Kumsen, who explained the rationale for the postponement. When we come back, I'll start this conversation from Sydney Kisley Hayford.
So the issue of these ambulances that remain abandoned or rather undistributed at the forecourt of Parliament has become a big story. Now, over the weekend, a letter was seen, which letter was coming from the Minister for Health, Menu, on the advice of the CEO of the National Ambulance Service, directed at the President requesting for the official commissioning of the ambulances to be moved from January 6 to January 28. This had drawn lots of debate and condemnation amongst various social media platforms. What is the justification from the Minister for Health for deciding to postpone the commissioning of these ambulances? Are the issues detailed in the minister's letter tenable? I came to the Ministry of Health to have a conversation with the Doma Central Member of Parliament and Minister of Health, Menu.
Let me tell you one thing. The type of ambulances that are here, we are fitting them with some extra things that will make us see that we have a more efficiently run ambulance service. You can't go and waste state funds, 307 ambulances. Then when you're making a call to somewhere, you can't even get through. The ambulance cannot even trace where the location is to go and pick anybody. These type of things, we are programmatic inefficiencies that we want to solve right from the beginning. We are on course. We are tracking the ambulances and their locations where they are. Those gadgets haven't been completely fitted because we needed to take delivery before we do them. The shipments delayed, I told you, and we are now even still clearing about the last 49 or so. You know, we have hired people who are doing these things. First, tracking for locations of the ambulances where they are. 2, tracking where incidents have happened, where people are calling us from. Right, with this newly done digital address system across the country, we are fitting gadgets in the ambulances that will GPS, that will help us get right, efficient locations to drive the ambulances through. So these are things that we are doing, and it looks like we are just not ready. Let us wait a little bit and pleading with the nation. We are not putting them there for any fanfare. I told somebody on one of the radio stations that we are not going to do politics and campaign with ambulances. Campaigns are done with pickups. But what we want to do, let us take our time and do it more efficiently.
So you've given reasons, and a lot of them are justified, except that the last one sounds flimsy, that you're branding the vehicles, and for the branding purposes, they have to continue to sit where they are. How much time do you need to simply write Doma Central constituency on an ambulance?
How much time did it need us to write on the vehicles that were brought, the branding that...
You're referring to the Metro Mass buses?
Yes.
Is that not why we changed the man on the Metro Mass bus and brought you in?
I wouldn't know why. But I asked a simple question, so don't answer my question with a question. Right, what you're telling me is that I asked you that how long did it take those vehicles to sit at the forecourt for them to do the branding and put in whatever thing that
they're not emergency buses.
Let me tell you, you see, you have never been on the campaign trail.
I have followed you on a campaign.
Have you been assemblyman before?
Never.
Or you were just following?
Yes.
When we meet the crowds, and the enthusiasm would really ask for things. The enthusiasm would be anticipating that things will come. If you come from, which is your constituency?
Shai Osudoku.
So tomorrow morning, you see Shai Osudoku on an ambulance driving around Shai Osudoku. How will you feel?
There's a question for me on that issue. Who is going to run the ambulance in a constituency?
We have a national ambulance service.
So when you put an
They have
ambulance,
offices across the country.
really, do they have offices in all
Yes.
constituencies?
We started talking. We've written to local government minister that where they don't have accommodation, find them accommodation. There is assembly should locate them. We are trained, we are posting.
You promised to bring 275 for all the constituencies. You are bringing 307 as a matter of fact.
Yes.
But the fact remains that you haven't brought in all of them. You brought barely over 200. And that could be the reason you are postponing, not because of what you are explaining. You still have a tranche of 48 times 2. Times 2, 40
Right.
times 2, according to what we are picking from the ambulance service. So you really haven't brought in all the ambulances. So the reason you are postponing the commissioning is not because of these things you've said to us, but simply because you don't have the ambulances in town to commission. Simple.
That is not correct. We scheduled December to do.
January.
As we are talking now,
6 January.
right? You have information that leads to the fact that all of them are not ready, but we are labeling and we're ready to mobilize. We've given ourselves up to the 28th, which is not 28th, and when it comes 28th, whether all of them are here or not, what we have done, putting the gadgets and those technical things are done, we'll mobilize.
So the reason you postponed is because they are not in town, not because you are not ready.
I don't accept that.
But Honorable, the CEO for the ambulance services, there are some 90 that are outstanding. So clearly you do not have the numbers.
The last meeting that I had, which is about 3 weeks now, there were about 48 out of that 90 sitting at the port for clearing, right? And as I speak, I can tell you emphatically, if you go and do your checks, you said you're going to go there, you realize that almost all, and I'll use the word reservedly, almost all will have either landed at the port or sitting in the courtyard for us to do the thing.
And so you can tell me what you think about this whole ambulance situation. It looks like January 28th, the government says they're going to release them. Are you happy with that particular piece of information? You're going to have what looks like a very efficient and modern ambulance distribution center. So you can send your messages 0549 986 996, 0549 986 996. The days of putting people in taxis and whatnot looks like it is at an end very, very soon for people. Mr. Kisleyford, let me start with you on this one.
Oh.
Ambulances are coming. They're almost ready. You saw the ambulances there. They are being fitted. Top-notch equipment in there. Everything is fine.
You know, there are some things that so upset you, that thinking about it is just too stressful. I can't believe that we are actually being told what we are hearing. It's again a typical example of government officials and people in power thinking that the rest of us Ghanaians are too stupid to understand a simple thing. We have addressed this issue in Occupy Ghana. We've issued a few annoying comments on it, but we've also made several suggestions of how to set up call centers in order to be able to get all this done. It's documented. We have done it.
It looks like they're listening to you.
And we're not doing it as a peculiarity of Ghana, but this is an international way of doing things. And we use our network of medical personnel across the world, wherever we could find Ghanaians in such positions. And we've made the cogent suggestions. You see, but when you come and tell me that you are not going to distribute the ambulances because you want to put in tracking systems and you want to brand them and
but this was a request from the National Ambulance Service itself.
Yes. What about them?
They are the ones who are going to use it. So if they say, give us these things before we can use it, is that not a cogent enough reason for you?
Wouldn't the most sensible thing to be to get the ambulances to the constituencies where they belong to, then give the constituencies guidelines, all right, templates, how and what the ambulances should look like. Simple. If you want to put a Ghana flag on it, tell them a Ghana flag should be placed on the front door of the ambulance. I mean, we don't need to go through all this bureaucracy at the national level. And this is why this whole annoying thing of not doing a proper decentralization, all right, is It's tragic. You know, we have just thrown away an opportunity of efficiency, which we could have put in place. We don't need to sit ambulances in the forecourt of the State House. For what?
For proper equipment.
What is their purpose?
You don't think we need to track
the purpose of track it to where?
No, so that if the ambulance driver does not tell you that he's going to pick up somebody in Malam when he's driving with his girlfriend to the market. And these things happen. We do know that. These are realities.
My friend, you need the ambulance to be sitting in the constituency where it is going to be used to save lives. You are worrying about somebody going to markets, and I'm taking it from that as a cynical issue. You're worried about somebody going to market with his girlfriend. Aren't you worried about the person who is lying comatose in the hospital, who has to be transported on an emergency? When a how? Ubi koto banchi. Market and in a house. So
not
you're
just
leaving.
that. Not just that.
But you say you're going to market.
No, I'm just saying that's for the tracking. But they said they have to set up a proper integrated communication system because at the moment the ones that they use is quite cumbersome. It's not modern, so they have to set that up so that when you call the ambulance, people can actually reach you.
So every equipment
whilst you're doing that, whilst you're doing that, if you cite the ambulance in Senya Breku where it's supposed to be, and there's an emergency, and you call, simple telephone call, and you say, hey, my friend, we need an ambulance at Gumwa Central. Will you not save a life? Will you not save a life? How many people's lives are in jeopardy whilst you're sitting down there setting up a call system? Yes, of course, a call system has to be set up.
Yeah.
But it has to be set up where it's required, at in the constituency. In the constituency. That's where it is required. It's not required at a forecourt or State House.
Don't you have a call system already?
Honorable, your microphone
We
is
have
off,
some kind.
so
we have some kind of a call system, yes, but it's not efficient. It's not good enough. It needs to be better. You need to tie it in with bed vacancies, and availability of medical personnel. Doctors have to be around. Specialists have to be around. You need to have all that in a place where you can actually do it. And it has to be done at the constituency, at the district. It doesn't have to be done from a national service center. That's a waste of time. And it's inefficient.
All right. Well, it's like
so for me, all of this that they are doing there, my friend, Mr.
He's going to explain
Saban
after
here,
you,
he will say what he has to say, but I bet you he can't say anything better than what we have put out there already. What they have to do is to put it in place and do it properly and efficiently.
So the January 28th date doesn't work for you?
Oh, the January 28th date is unnecessary. Don't give me a date. Just tell me that you're going to do it and leave it be and stop all this lying to the people of this country.
Okay,
you know, all these are just a whole pack of lies.
All right, then. A very upset Sydney case, Leaford. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll hear from the Deputy Minister of Health, Honorable Alexander Aban, as to whether he agrees with the point of Sydney that perhaps this ambulance should have been in constituencies by now. The big issue will be right back. Welcome back to the big issue. So, Honorable Aban, Deputy Minister of Health, why didn't you simply just send the ambulances? Why did you need to park it? Why do you need to commission it? Why do you need to do anything? Just send them.
But all of us have not. How long have they been there?
The ambulances.
Yes.
They've been there one day too long.
Thank you very much. Let me first admit that it would be in the interests of Ghanaians that as soon as the ambulance comes, they are deployed to where they are most needed, right? Sitting at the forecourt of Parliament House is not going to do us any good. But we must also understand that this is not the first time we are getting ambulances into the country. And for me, another definition of madness is doing the same thing repeatedly and expecting different results, right? We have had various sets of ambulances deployed into the country, and because no proper systems were put in place, they were used haphazardly, anyhow, broken down, and abandoned. If we go through the same phase of our previous lifestyle with this, then we are rather throwing money away. I admit, people say, oh, people are dying and all that. Good. It's a fact of life that people would die anyway. I'm not saying that because of that we should just leave it there. Because there are people who may have even got to the hospital and they will still die on the hospital bed. Right? This whole thinking that, oh, it is because of fanfare, right? And the MPs are going to do political campaigns with it and all that. You don't need the ambulance to be packed here or to be in the constituency for anybody to make any political issue out of it, right? If they want to, they will definitely say that, oh, during my time, we have got an ambulance for you. Obviously, I'm sure as politicians, we may use it that way. So if that was the purpose, they would not be packed there, right? But I think the various reasons that have been assigned by the ambulance service, right? We should take them. It's not as though they should be dispatched and then when the technical men come or whose delay has still got us keeping the things at Parliament House, they would come and we will have to now dispatch them to the various constituencies. I think that's going to be even more cumbersome. So all I'm asking for is a little patience so that January 28th, when all the things that are required to be done have been properly done, they will be dispatched to the various places and they will be used as efficiently as they ought to be used. I think that's what I would say about it.
Okay. Salom.
I think that what would have been a very great and awesome national exercise has been relegated to the politics of appellations, if I should put it that way. We are seemingly getting into an era where everything that is being done in this country is supposed to be done in the name of one politician or the other, or is supposed to be the birthright of one political party or the other. And the people that these things are being done for, the people of Ghana, are forgotten totally in the whole thinking around this. And this ambulance issue is a classic example of that. First of all, what is the national policy with relation to emergency medical services? What is the national policy related to the whole concept of emergency medical service? Because if we want to look at this ambulance issue, that is where we should start from. Are we saying that this ambulance is part of a particular phase of putting in measures to ensure that we have an emergency medical services infrastructure? The reason why I ask that is because ambulances alone do not mean anything. Ambulances are just modified cars. Mm-hmm. In our case, it is they are Mercedes-Benz vans which have been sent to a secondary manufacturer to kit in different things. And the irony of this whole situation is that you are talking about the fact that, or the people who are going to, people who procure these ambulances are telling us that these ambulances were kitted far beyond what is acceptable international standards. But what standards are we talking about here? What is the benchmark that we are looking at? If we say we want to deploy this as part of an emergency medical service infrastructure, then we have to look at it in this particular phase. There has to be a national dispatch, office, a national dispatch system. Do we have that in place? Did we have that in place? Did we plan to have that in place before acquiring the ambulances? What is the trajectory towards that? Were we going to have a national command center from which all the regions will have regional command centers, which would then be distributed to district command centers and then linked up with the hospitals or district hospitals in these particular areas? Yes or no? To answer that question, look at how the rationale behind how the ambulances were procured. One ambulance, one constituency. Our constituencies, jurisdictions that are national in nature as far as administration is concerned, is the Ghana Health Service, the hierarchy of the Ghana Health Service, does it devolve on constituency lines? Once those two things did not match. Everything going down from there was wrong. Now, you look at the fact that 96 of these ambulances came in September. I don't think that it was like we went to ShopRite to go and buy the ambulances on the shelves. No. We had certain specifications, tenders were done, Honorable Zaban, tenders were done. Yes, tenders were done. There was a time period which I believe wouldn't be less than 6 months from the point of procurement, inspections for due diligence, modifications somewhere here and there before these things were done. When you have an emergency medical system services in place, it means that whatever you are going to put on those ambulances at the point of putting everything together would have had in it radio communication equipment and other monitoring equipment that will have been aligned to a command center. Did we build that command center when we were buying the ambulances? That's the question we should ask ourselves.
Wait. Honorable, did we?
What I know is that we may not have finished with these things before the ambulance arrived.
So let him answer that question. You asked the question, let him answer it.
And so if you read I think it's 6-pointer reasons given
from the ambulance service.
From the ambulance service, right? Even call centers were issues, all right? And that's why I said that we should not just bring it and operate it as we did previously. We'll just run them down and then we'll get to square one.
All right, question answered.
Good. So that tells you that we didn't think this through. That is my point. We didn't think this through because we didn't have the necessary infrastructure in place. To make it even worse, who were the people going to run these ambulances? You see, ambulances are not cars, as people think. These are they call it pre-hospital care, which means that you have to have, and in fact, the ironic thing about the branding of the ambulance is that they have a 6-point star on it, all right, which talks about early detection, early reporting, early transit, on-site care before you finally take the person to the hospital. That is what there's on all of the Ghana ambulances, you see a cross with 6 points on it. That is what it means. And we didn't even think all that through, but we were just interested in the optics of putting the ambulances there and saying that, yes, to the naysayers, we have ambulances, we said we deliver. But the point about it is, we needed an emergency care medical personnel to run these things. All that time that we said we would do it, within that time, why didn't we begin to train those people and have some
of them ready?
Some of them ready before these things came. Granted, September till now is how many months? 4 months. Even if we knew that we were going to take delivery of some of them in September, what stopped us from beginning to build a pilot project of this national command center and the first batch of EMT guys who are going to run these systems and even pilot them in constituencies before the bulk of the others came? Then we'll say that, okay, now we are running the full ambulance system. Instead of parking them in the sun somewhere for the sun to beat the so-called ultra-modern systems that we have. And when you look at it, and we don't even have, there hasn't been any communication on how this is going to cascade into a full-blown service where you are going to have, for certain population centers that have more population, we know that, or there's analytics or results show that, for certain referral centers in certain countries, there are always a lot of inbound calls for ambulances. Or take data from the existing ambulances that are there and say that, these particular places there are more people, so they need more ambulances than this other place, which has less people, and therefore they will need less number of ambulances. We haven't done, we don't seem to have,
he wants to make
the country doesn't seem to have communicated all of these in a structured manner for us to begin to understand this. So now you have these things hurriedly brought into the country because we want to have the optics, we want to cut the tape, we want to cut the sword and say, yes, we said we'll do it and we have delivered, without looking at all the things that were. And the last part of it is the fact that we are forcing ourselves to tie it to an information management system that, for all intents and purposes, hasn't been as robust as we needed it to be. And therefore, we could have used other alternate systems to do this. Hence the need for the command center to have even been started long before we even started trying to get these ambulances in. So now you have too many things that are not even well set up before the thing has come. And then we are still rushing to say that these ambulances should be put there. For me, I think that right from the beginning, we did not think this through in a manner that will cascade well enough to have taken advantage of this. However, if we want to make this thing work, then the stakeholders who are really the professionals should be allowed to do this thing without the interference of politicians, because these politicians do not even understand these systems. And then they are the ones who always end up making big stories because they are dying from strokes and heart attacks in their rooms, and then they are being put on pickups and sent. And then the rest of us, the devil may care, because the stories come every day. I have friends who three different friends we did from the Christmas period till now, who have died because they didn't have ambulances to go to hospital.
You wanted to make
the intervention that I wanted to make is that, I mean, I have listened to him. The issue, the summary of all that he's saying is that there was some kind of delay in putting in place all these things even before the ambulance arrived, because once we knew the ambulances were coming, we should have put in place these things. That's, I mean, that reduced to its barest core point.
No, reduced to its barest minimum. His main point is, if you looked at actual data, the policy would not be one district, one constituency, one ambulance.
No, that's one thing. That's one thing. Okay, that's one thing that he has said. The other thing was that there had been some delays. But I think that it is better late and done properly than never.
Okay.
Right? Because
But how can you have a consistency or a district without an ambulance? It doesn't make sense.
Okay.
You can't. I mean, it's inconceivable. Why should you have a constituency or a district? I disagree with the fact that we are doing it on a constituency basis. I think that was just a political pledge, which necessarily doesn't have to be what we should do. It has to be arranged on a district level, because that's where the district administration resides, and you have a medical center in the districts.
But
So you should have an ambulance.
But you see,
at the barest minimum, one
Okay.
ambulance for every district at the
Okay.
barest minimum.
Okay, but you see, the constituencies are even more. And the thing is that because, yes, constituencies are more than the districts. Okay? And because constituencies are arranged or are carved out based on population density, the issue that he raised is actually catered for. Because for those districts that have, let's say, about 3 constituencies within that district, immediately it tells you that the population there is huge. That's why. And so it means they would even get 3 in that district. Unlike my constituency, which also happens to be a district. It is coterminous with the district. So in my constituency, for instance, whether it is taken to Gomwa West constituency or Gomwa West district, it identifies the same place, right? So he was dealing with population density, that we should look at the data and see that, no, this place, we have too many people, and so we should have more. But what he must know is that, or what is the fact, apart from a few northern places where you will say that the constituencies have vast stretch of land, but very little or very few population there, when it gets to especially the very highly densely populated areas, you see that there are many constituencies, or let's say at least 3 constituencies in a district. And it means that within that district, they will have 3 ambulances. So it's some way, somehow, not necessarily with mathematical exactitude, it still deals with the population distribution argument that he made.
Okay. So you are certain that at the end of this distribution process, the fact that we have, for instance, in the northern region, only 6 ambulances spread across the entire region would have improved significantly to the point, because we all know the size of
course,
that particular region. That situation would have been addressed at least to a certain level.
Yes.
Like this.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Let me say that provision of ambulances is a desire for almost every Ghanaian because of emergency situations. And that's
so
why...
commend government for bringing it.
That's why during the tenure... during the tenure of John Mahama, he even went further and introduced the mobile clinic vans. Apart from the ambulances, we have
your ambulances didn't come.
Please, who said the ambulance?
The one from Big C. Hey, I'm not putting that one. That one, they don't go there.
Don't throw one out the bay.
Were there ambulances procured under Mills Mahama?
Oh, Anchor.
Were there ambulances procured?
I can handle this
under Mills Mahama?
Senior,
There were no ambulances.
Please. I'm not talking about
What ambulances
under
did you
John
bring?
Mahama, Emisata.
Okay.
I'm talking about under Mills Mahama.
Yes, there
where
was.
ambulances procured.
Yes, ambulances were.
Thank
procured. They did arrive.
Under John Mahama went further.
How many months did
and
they
brought
survive?
in the mobile.
Don't worry, please.
What are you talking about, survivor?
They came. Those ones I know.
Thank you. And under John Mahama, he went further, the spec, and brought in mobile clinics. The Onyado.
Where were they?
Are you asking me? Having to pack them? Haven't your government packed them?
Where?
Asking me where? You know.
Go and show me where they are.
You sit on television and you are denying that you don't know.
brought those stone thrower things. That
The
had
Onyado
nothing.
was stone thrower.
You,
The
you
mobile clinics were
go on
stone
with your
thrower.
argument. Go on with your argument.
No, the mobile clinics were stone thrower.
You go on.
Go on with your argument. Ni.
No, I just want to you.
Oh,
you
claim. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Say your sofu.
No,
I just want you to
Go ahead with your argument.
Okay.
Go.
No, I just want you to understand.
Deal with your concede.
Yes,
So you brought the
there
mobile
were
clinics.
mobile clinics.
Yes.
To augment the existing fleet of ambulances.
How many?
Which had collapsed.
I am not too sure about the number now, but I know, and you know.
So
Yes.
having gone through the history,
He
commend
knows.
government for
He
bringing.
knows. He knows.
So let him go.
This government has further.
The man was him.
This government further brings in ambulances.
307.
Thank you. And the contention was that it's further going to boost the existing fleet we have. Because of, you said, past experiences. That's the more reason why I would have expected that the ambulances will not come and sit at the forecourt of Parliament House. Because you thought that you want to do things right, they will come and sit at the forecourt of Parliament House for over 5 months.
I have already considered on the delay. So just go ahead and tell
I'm
us
saying
something
that
good.
because you did not sit down to really plan what you're going to do, the procurement procedures, training, and you're going out on a policy, just as you've done in all your policies.
You plan it well to bring it and get it destroyed.
I'm saying that just as you've done in all policies that you've embarked upon, you do not sit down to thoroughly go through the policy outline and try to break down on what needs to be done before the final decision. But let me ask a question. Are you saying the president lied when he said that the ambulances have not been distributed because he wanted to have the total number of constituencies before he distributes? Because he doesn't want some people to be unhappy. Is that what you are saying?
You are making your point.
No. You sitting here telling me that the ambulances were not distributed. Oh, so you didn't bring the ambulance?
Please
have
go
I
on.
brought in the president here in this discussion?
No, I'm asking a question. You have just made statement that the delay in the distribution of the ambulances has been due to the fact that you needed to put anything like tracking system, like call centers and all. You just said it. Yes.
As stated by the National Ambulance Service.
The president said, the president of the republic, look at all of us in the face and told us that he has not distributed the ambulances because he wanted to have the total number of ambulances in town before, because he doesn't want to incur the displeasure of certain constituencies who will not have it.
Regardless of that statement, the real issue, as stated by him, the point is that does it mean that?
So when the president was saying it, he didn't know about the real issues.
No. Listen. We have
technical people. Why are you constantly misleading this president?
Can you listen to me? We have technical people who are dealing with this. Regardless of that, the president, regardless of whatever he had said,
so he was not briefed.
Listen, regardless of whatever he had said, that he wanted all the full complement to arrive before distributing. 6th January, he was ready, but for this intervention.
So I'm saying that
before
the president.
So what is the issue?
I have a problem. Before the president, look, I've worked with the president before. Before a president will move in and give a date that on this day this is what I want to do, he must be given a brief, a thorough brief. Because other than that,
let's deal with the real issues and stop the peripherals.
Those are his issues.
These are important issues.
These are very peripheral issues.
Well, maybe for you, not for him.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
You see, mind this thing is that it tells me that between, you see, and I've said it, and people don't want to understand. And I have heard that there's serious problem within government. Because right from day one, the Ministry of Health was not principally involved in the procurement process.
Okay.
You understand? Because it was done by the Ministry of Special Initiatives. You understand me?
Is there any news that you are fighting? That's not serious.
Please, let it go. He's the one speaking.
Mpacho. Look, I'm a Matana Bermuda. Matana Bermuda. Look, I've seen it, and it's happening in so many sectors of this government because of the multiplicity of functions, because of duplication of functions and roles. It's happening. Even the issue of waste management. You understand? The special initiatives, I've said that it is not relevant. That ministry is totally unnecessary because they are virtually performing the functions of other ministries. You understand? If the Ministry of Health had thoroughly been in charge of this, they would have taken up the steps. Training of human resource, the call centers, the directorate, and all those things would have been done within their own structure. It would have been much more easier for the distribution to be done easily when they were brought in, as Kesley said. That because at the end of it all, they will have designed the branding and all. So when the ambulances have been sent to the constituencies, they just put the branding and so on it. You understand? If it's a sort of system we have already, the core system we have already was not good enough, they will have brought in also equipment or system, devices that will make it robust to be able to stand on. And then, look, sitting here as a member of parliament, I have 3 ambulances in my constituency. Through me.
Congratulations.
You understand? What is rocket science about an ambulance? Depending on what sort of specifications you are looking for. You understand? So I'm saying that totally keeping the ambulances at the forecourt of Parliament House under the pretext of fitting in tracking devices.
You can't say a pretext. Wasn't that what they were doing?
Well, right now we've got to know that the ambulances, you said it, that they were being fitted with equipment. I mean, they came as Tontura. What he said.
Oh.
No, they're fitting them with tracking devices.
Only tracking devices.
Please.
Only tracking devices.
Trafficking devices.
And it's taking the 5 months.
There are other components. The building of the call centers.
You were making a very, very good argument. Now, then you degenerate the thing.
No. I'm not degenerated it. No. I was just making reference to what he said.
Which is the problem that I've stated, that all of these things, they are not even concerned about the health of the people of Ghana. They are just concerned about the optics.
We are very concerned because we thought that by this time, our committee on health have consistently made the point that the ambulances must go because people need the ambulances.
Today is what? Today is the 11th.
I've never imagined that
11th,
people treasure ambulances so much until my constituency. You know, I had a little problem. The Muslim community, most of them are reluctant to use the other public listing. So I thought that the Muslim chiefs made a plea to me. So I got one, reservedly for the Muslim community. Do you know what has happened? The Christian community are also saying that we also need our ambulance. Forget the fact that we have given ambulance to Princess Malilui and giving ambulance to Osha Clinic. You understand? That should tell you how people... So many Ghanaians are not happy with the fact that they continually see these vehicles, ambulances, emergency...
That's why there was national outreach on Monday.
Yeah. So I'm saying that for whatever
national
needed
outrage
to be done,
about what? Sorry.
The ambulances.
That they have not been distributed.
Yes.
Yeah. No, because a date was given and the date had to be changed.
But you see,
But why do the Muslims object to riding ambulance with human beings?
That is not
the issue of discussion.
No, I don't like it because this is what we do.
No, but it's not an issue on the table. We can discuss that later.
I think that, you see, we are losing the essence of one thing. First of all, who are the primary users? Who are the primary users of these ambulances? You would realize that a lot of the reasons why the ambulances are required is because of intra-hospital emergencies. Most, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm younger, not maybe, I'm younger than all of you. I mean, yeah.
Oh, why do you think so?
Yes, I am.
We know.
Definitely. I have never seen
No,
an
he said when he was in
ambulance.
school under the PNDC, so you should understand.
I've never seen an ambulance go to anybody's house in Ghana. My whole life.
To go and pick
To
up.
go and pick somebody
Yeah.
up.
He does.
Yeah, I'm saying I have never seen
Okay.
with my own eyes.
Okay. Speaking of which, I have never seen it. So.
Yes, but you will see that a lot of the ambulances, and my wife is a nurse, a lot of the ambulances are usually needed when maybe
person
somebody
is
is
given
taken
to the
for
hospital.
treatment in a smaller hospital
clinic.
slash
So-
clinic, and then
And
they
they
need
need
to
to refer
the
transport
person.
the
Yeah.
person to a referral
Yeah.
center or a bigger, what do you call it, facility. And sometimes you realize that even in some of these facilities that are transit points, you realize that even though they have ambulances, there are situations when once the ambulance is dispatched, they need another ambulance, and then they have to call other
Another
hospitals
hospital.
to get an
Yeah.
ambulance to take. Now the issue is that, so what I'm saying is this: we haven't thought through the whole
To build a
infrastructure
real-
very
a real
well.
network.
We haven't, and that's the fundamental part of the problem, because ambulances, there are types. I don't think we should have just gone ahead straight away and said we are ordering one ambulance per
307 of the
307 of them, the same type. Because even under the ambulances, we have mobile ICUs. You have those that can just stabilize a patient. You have those that can even be, you can even use
Moto.
tricycles, right? Tricycles fitted with this. I mean, there are so many innovators, all right, here in Africa. And you see, that's why I'm saying that a lot of thinking didn't go through this very well. In the vast expanse of the northern region, areas like Afram Plains, areas like, what do you call it, the overseas area around the Volta region, areas like Huni Valley, Takwa area, I can tell you that if they take those Mercedes buses there, they won't last more than 1 year. Because some of those places, those buses, are they four-wheel drives? I don't think all of them are four-wheel drives. Some of them do, even between Pristia and Takwa. If you are going to rescue somebody, to be stuck on the road, because the vehicles are not even suited for some of these terrains. What I believe should have been done was we should have looked at it and said, how many people can use a tricycle to enter some of the localities? Pick some of the people who need it in the localities to CHIPS compounds or to the community clinics or district clinics or whatever it is. And then maybe some of the money that could have, let's say 30 of them, the money that could have was used to buy 30 of these ambulances, could have even been used to buy about 100 of these tricycles fitted with some of these mobile units, just so that their main purpose is to transport sick people
From inaccessible
point A
areas.
to point B. Then you would have the ones that are mid-level that will have some of these other. And you have the mobile ICUs for really traumatic cases where you need oxygen on the person. You would need, what do you call it, all the monitors, the defibrillators that they have in all these ambulances and all of that. But we just thought that, oh, we are just getting it for the optics so that we'll say that, yes, in our regime, we came and we did this. And then we beat Mahama's regime because Mahama bought Ntontroa or whatever it is. I mean, this whole back and forth about Ntontroa. Because if you ask any health person today, their main concern is, I want to transport this person from point A to point B and keep my client or my patient alive. Is this whole thing that we are doing, is it solving that problem? And that's why I said we should go back and look at the branding on the ambulances. There's a 6-star cross on it. And read it and then ask ourselves, is that what we are solving?
You know,
Good points well made.
Could you
Sydney,
see,
quickly.
Selim, let's
I
not
need to take a break.
let's not kid ourselves. 307 ambulances put into the system are adding on to what is there already. We are not starting from
We are
zero.
not. Yes, I agree
But
with you.
Even if you
Adding to the
add up,
55, right?
even if you add up all that, okay, we don't have anywhere near enough ambulances
At all.
in the country.
At all.
So what you are
Or
saying,
what we can call comprehensive emergency health system.
We don't have it.
yes, we don't. So we still need to add on to what we have brought in.
Exactly.
It can be this government or another government's
It
responsibility
shouldn't even matter
to
that-
add on to
Exactly.
all the
What
other types.
what Solomon is actually saying, as a nation, we must have a plan.
Yes, and
A
then that
policy.
plan should be devoid of
And I'm
any
telling you,
political parties.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
telling
This thing.
you, and I'm telling you, that is what wastes our time and our money. Up in the north, okay, up in the north, the mode of transportation, as we all know,
Is
is
different.
by motorcycle
Yeah.
and by bicycle.
Yes.
And the vastness of the place is such that those have been
It's
found
not
to be
only
more,
enough.
more
If you
efficient.
go to my village in Ada,
Yes.
between Ada and Totuma Kopi or Kansi Kopi,
Yes.
the motorbike is more efficient.
It's more efficient. It's more nimble.
and we tend to use that.
Yes.
So therefore, if you leave that decision making to the municipality or to the district or to the region, they will make a better decision than we are making now.
This is a
Having
very,
brought
very
in all
valid
these
suggestion.
ambulances
Very valid
that
suggestion.
don't work. All right.
So there
Because
comes local governance.
there comes the issue of election of MMDC,
Okay.
which you guys
And there
thought
comes
was a-
my break. The big issue. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the big issue, and on that point, we will end the conversation on the ambulances. You can still keep your messages coming.
We are all resolving the fact that this should be part of a comprehensive system.
Yes.
Analyzing the peculiar needs and environment of places and then providing service.
Advice
It
well,
should be-
advice well taken.
It should be part of a comprehensive decentralized system.
Yes.
Thank you.
Instead of it being controlled from a Jubilee House.
Exactly.
All right.
We are all in
Let me just
agreement.
read some messages that have come in via our WhatsApp line 0549 986 996, 0549 986 996, and then 0550 585832. I have been appalled by this whole ambulance service establishment. However, about 5 years ago, my junior brother, who is a medical doctor visiting Ghana, had a medical condition in the middle of the night, and the service did pick him up from home that night. So I guess somebody is just confirming that the ambulance service does indeed visit certain places.
If your house is accessible.
Okay. Good morning. Please, I want to tell Honorable Alexander Aban to fix the route from Aguna Swedo to Gomoa, the Rampon.
But that road is being constructed.
Oh, that's the message.
The reason why he's saying that the ambulance cannot ply on that road.
The ambulances need good roads. That's the first prerequisite.
Okay, let's see this. Good morning, Sedem. Good morning, Godfred, and to your team. To Neil Lante's idea of an ambulance is a vehicle. Okay. Neil from Bachona, please keep your language civil. I will not be reading your text message. Godfred, please, since you have the Deputy Minister of Health, let me plead with you to ask him what is happening to the payment of NHIS monies to the private health facilities. We are really suffering. This is Samir from Kufuria. So please, when you go back to the office, go and deal with
I think I've been dealing with Auntie Lydia on these matters because sometimes those who know my number call me directly and ask me, we have not received our payment and all that. And I quickly deal with Auntie Lydia on it. So I'll look at their issue and deal with Auntie Lydia.
Okay. Well, hello, Citi. The government is just being lazy with this ambulance. When you are buying a vehicle, you give the manufacturer everything that you require in that vehicle. With the naming of the ambulances, they could just have given all the names of the constituencies before it arrives, and it would have been branded already. This is a lazy man's approach. Okay. This is well, he didn't add his name. Our political leaders are just hypocrites and selfish. It's just confusing why the president and Dr. Zakaria can't tell us what actually was the cause why ambulances couldn't be distributed to the various constituencies. It's unfortunate. Well, they did give you 5 reasons if you've been paying attention. Eric from Hohoy. I so agree with Mr. Kisley Hayford. Why all this unnecessary bureaucracy? Ambulances are emergency vehicles for... Okay, ambulances are emergency vehicles. Distribute them already. This is Kofiche inside Tantra Yellow House. My only question to President Akufo-Addo is, was he not briefed by his health minister and ambulance service before he promised to outdoor the ambulances on the 6th of January 2020? Was our president misled again? The excuses are not matching at all.
That's an NDC foot soldier. Listening to Neil Lantewa.
All right, this is another long
text.
one. Let me read this. Good morning to you and your guests, especially Honorable Neil Lantewa. My name is Isa Katanjare from WA. It is disheartening that our hard-earned taxes that have been used in procuring ambulances are being allowed to sit in the sun, doing nothing, when innocent people are losing their lives simply because someone wants to do politicking with it. It is worrisome that the very people we vote for to champion our cause are looking on when it comes to our welfare, but are always quick when it has to do with them or their families. how on earth will any government that means welfare citizens keep under lock and key completed hospitals and other health facilities? Which brings me, before I move on to talk Star Times and football and whatnot, the hospital, you said it's working, the Y Hospital.
Yes.
So why did you commission the hospital
Good.
back then when
Good.
you knew it wasn't ready?
No. I think
Is that the first time?
No,
University of Ghana.
No. I think that I should use this time to
You have 1
make
minute.
some little education.
1 minute.
Okay.
Go on.
The commissioning is actually getting it, or taking delivery of it, if I should put it that way, symbolically, from the contractor.
Official handover.
Official handover.
Okay.
Right? Then, when it has been handed over, you then put your people in to go and explain to them that this knob does this, does that, this, that. And that time period, you will see that it will not be in actual operation.
Okay.
Because I had to also educate myself from the Ghana Health Service bosses.
Aban.
I know that
We are not in an Indian country. This
Keep
country
quiet.
has been existing
Keep
before you were
quiet.
born.
He's the deputy health minister. Let him speak.
I had to also ask that same question, right? Because I was told that, you know what, even though hospitals are hospitals, you go to a place, they have to tell you that you have to push this knob to get this facility, do this, do that, do that.
So why
they
don't you
have to
simply
take
do all those
the same
things
thing with
before
ambulances?
this we are talking
No, but the
about?
thing is that if the contractor has not given it to you, how do you put your people in to go and show them that? Because I also asked that same question.
No, I'm saying when the contractor is done, he will report to you. You give them the contract that we
Yes.
have finished, right? Once that happens, okay, my people go in there, go and learn how to use A, B, C, and D. Then the president comes to do what he wants to do. As soon as the president is done casting the sword, we expect that the following day, human beings can enter there for treatment.
No, but the
We
thing is
commission hospitals 4 or 5 months. They are sitting there.
Look, when
Under the guise of we are doing
when the Greater
technical
auditioning
or
when the
something.
Greater Accra Regional Hospital was
look,
commissioned,
look.
did this sit for this thing before it was?
Look,
But it was
let me
already
tell you.
working.
Let me tell you.
It was Rich Hospital before.
Rich Hospital, don't compare that one with us.
No, you-
because this is a new edifice altogether, new facility
So you
altogether.
are saying it's working now?
It's working.
When are you opening the others?
UGMS.
There are a couple of others that are also,
UGMS. No, but City, you running a program on that.
I'm asking the man the questions and nobody like Hold on, let me ask him the questions.
Okay.
I have no dates for you.
You have no dates. Okay, let's
I have
move
no dates
on.
for
If
you.
you have no dates, don't worry. I'll put you in a tight corner.
No,
this
you
week.
see, no, but this thing is
Nee, nee,
worrisome.
nee.
You see, it's worrisome in the sense that, look, last time you saw City did this thing, exposure, an expose on the Kaswa one. And now the materials
Kaswa
are
one,
being vandalized.
Don't go there.
It's okay.
I shouldn't go
The
there.
Kaswa one, you do not
What
know.
about
You do not know the story.
what about
You do
Gentlemen,
not
what
know
about-
the
gentlemen,
story
gentlemen.
about the Kaswa one.
Gentlemen,
You don't.
What about the Amasama one?
Gentlemen,
Please, you don't know the story.
Honorable
If you want
Masama
me- if you
Sawan.
want me to educate you on that, I will.
honorables, calm down. Let's talk football.
People
We have
are
20,
dying.
we have 20 minutes.
No,
Let's
I
talk
mean, the
football.
health is more important to me than the football.
The football is also very important to you. You've been playing it every morning to stay healthy.
You've taken me away from my place this Saturday morning. Today I had a match with Cosmos.
So, yes, what was it? Yes, Thursday was the Ghana Football Association announced the winner of its
This one-
bid.
This topic was put in because of your interest.
No, not because of my interest.
Conflict of interest.
From television rights. Sydney himself is an ardent follower of the Ghana Premier League. So Star Times won the bid. But out of character for your old company, your old place of employment, the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation did not take the announcement lying down. Indeed,
Did you?
The Director
I heard your
General.
comment.
Calm down.
Did you?
The Director General of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, Professor Amin Al-Hassan, had this to say about the announcement.
The Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, GBC, says the company has been treated unjustly and unfairly by the Ghana Football Association in the bidding process that led to Star Times winning the television broadcast rights of the Ghana Premier League and the FA Cup. According to the national broadcaster, the bid they presented was financially superior to that of Star Times and have questioned why the GFA still went ahead to announce the Chinese company as winners. On Wednesday, January 8, 2020, the GFA announced Star Times had won the rights to broadcast the Ghana Premier League and the FA Cup in a 5-year deal worth $5.25 million. The figure works out to $1,050,000 annually. This amount, GBC claims, is lower than their offer of $1,100,000. Part of the statement, signed by the company's head of corporate affairs, Ms. Mamle Asari, said the GFA's decision will gravely impact on Ghanaians' access to the Premier League and the FA Cup live games on free-to-air broadcasts. GBC ultimately wants the bidding process reviewed.
Both technically and financially, the GBC offer was superior. That is not in doubt. Technically, we know that GBC has a free-to-air capability. StarTimes does not have that. We also know very well that we have a network of FM stations. StarTimes does not have that. We also are ready, and in our bid, we did say that we're going to collaborate with local Ghanaian broadcasters as we have always done in the past. We have the record. So why tell us that we are not there? When you call for bid and the financially and technically superior bid doesn't win, of course, the speaker must complain. And that is our story. We are not bad losers. We just think that public opinion should build on GFA to provide an opportunity for us to appeal. Public opinion should build against GFA to let them review their decision or to come public and show us to full disclosure. Because even though it is a professional association, of course, it should demonstrate fairness to Ghanaians, that Ghanaians deserve a fair GFA.
So you heard the Director General of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, Professor Amin Alas, and in fact, it's the first time I've heard him say anything. I had to take the loss of the right to StarTimes to get him out to speak. But the Ghana Football Association also responded, and I'm just going to read from the statements that they issued to explain how they came to the decision. It's a very long one, but basically what they are saying, what they said was that on December 5th, 2019, the Ghana Football Association issued a statement to invite bids from media organizations. The deadline for submission of bid was 5 p.m. on Tuesday. At the end of the bid deadline, GBC had submitted two different bids. The first bid was for a free-to-air TV, exclusive media rights, digital rights, and radio rights for the territory of Ghana for 4 years at a proposed fee of 8.8 million Ghana cedis for all the 5 competitions. Second bid was for exclusive media rights for Ghana and Global for 4 years at a proposed fee of 10.2 million Ghana cedis and a fee of 200,000 Ghana cedis for radio for all 5 competitions. The GBC bid also had conditions attached to the bid, among them a revenue share on any title sponsorship that the GFA secured for its competitions. The GFA bid evaluation team had a meeting with GBC and informed them that none of the 2 bids they submitted met the valuation of the GFA. Now, to the point that matters, point 8, it must be stated unequivocally that evaluation of bids is not only about the financials, but includes all conditions such as those GBC stated in their proposal, such as the 30% share GBC wanted on all title sponsorships. Of utmost importance is the fact that the net value of the bid of GBC was actually lower than the amount quoted in the bid because of the proposed revenue share of the title sponsorship. Example, should we activate that clause on the MTN FA Cup title sponsorship amount? It must be stated clearly that even if only financials alone were considered, the 4th bid of GBC, which was out of time, was not the bid with the highest financial consideration. 2 other proposals were higher than the GBC bids, but other conditions affected those bids. The GFA, having gone out of its way to make the highlight show non-exclusive for the benefit of all television stations, does not deserve the deliberate misinformation issued by the GBC. So, in effect, the GBC did not respond after this. It looks like all matters have died down. StarTimes did a press conference yesterday to explain what they'll be doing for the Ghana Premier League. And starting from Sunday with Accra Suffolk versus Cape Coast Mysterious Ebusua Dwarfs, the Ghana Football Association, Ghana Premier League is back on television. But what do you make of all this? Because this was something that struck the core of a lot of people. Like, why did we do this? Did it make sense? What not? People are starting on both sides. They are saying, well, StarTimes has the money, they have the quality, they don't trust GTV. Honorable Nilanti, what do you make of this?
Well, thank you very much. I don't know whether I am really qualified to comment on this because of interests.
Yes, your past background.
As a former staff of GBC, as a former broadcaster.
People say you don't know how to do anything.
I've been in club management. Well, That is fair. That is to them. But if you are calling for some of the best professionals in coverage of life that you have GBC, you can that one you can take it from me. I'm being frank with you. If you calling for some of the best professionals in the job, you can take it away from GBC. The quality of training, the exposure the person gets. I didn't just become a commentator. I had opportunity of being sent out by GBC to BBC, to South Africa, to Egypt, Morocco, and the rest to upgrade myself. So GBC has time for human resource development. All GBC staff who have moved to other institutions have been some of the best.
Yeah.
They end up virtually transferring knowledge to the staff of those institutions. So that one is settled.
Okay.
But the whole issue, I have a moral issue here.
Which is?
The moral issue is that what happens to local content? Star Times is a Chinese institution, Chinese company. At this time when in this country we are all calling for made in Ghana, let's consume what we have. Ghana beyond aid and all those things. It's a bit worrisome for us to say that our football coverage is going to be handled by a Chinese company.
But it's also about money, isn't it? Clubs want money.
Look, I'm saying that is where the issue comes in. If you look at the GFA's rebuttal, 1 point, I have no problem with you setting certain conditions. But then behind the conditions, you also look at certain things. One, I was asking, will Star Times be able to transmit to houses and homes without decoders the matches? Would they be able to do that? Because Star Times, you definitely have to procure yourself a decoder to be able to have access. Would they be able to do that? What about that village beyond Bunkrugu, where the only television signals they get reliably is GTV? Are you going to deny them? I think we were just going to look at the issue of maybe Accra and Kumasi or the capital cities. But seriously speaking, today, let there be live coverage of Has Kotoko in Accra. And let there be a match between Manchester and Chelsea. In Accra, I'm telling you, majority of the people will be glued towards the Manchester United and Chelsea match. But when you go beyond Accra, we go outside Accra, trust me, people will be interested sitting there and watching GTV and watching Has and Kotoko. So we should have looked at all these. It's not just an issue of money. We're also building a brand. Our football. You understand? You remember last time I had a discussion with you that this 1 year that we were sitting there not doing anything, the monies that we are spending in building these small artificial turfs, we could have used the same money to resurface Liberty Park, Accra Stadium, Kumasi Stadium. Because if you use money to go and build a park at Echumamponia, because you are a minister for sports, that player that you are going to do in Echumamponia will end up playing at Asante Kotoko. He will come and play on the bad pitch. When it rains for 1 hour, you cannot kick a ball. You understand? So the same money could be used just to fix Kumasi Sports Stadium. That will improve upon the quality of the game. Reduce injuries to players. Coverage will be good. Attendance will improve. And more revenue for all of us. So sometimes we need to sit down and look at this. So my problem has to do with the fact that maybe the GFA should have engaged GBC. That look, these are the financial considerations we are looking at. Your bid really do not, but because of the fact that we will wish that you will be able to make our game accessible to all Ghanaians and also build on the local brand. Can you think a little bit with the percentage that you are talking about so that we can do business? It takes nothing. It takes nothing. The last time Star Times were involved, how were they able to transmit? They were dependent on GBC facilities. You understand? Even with DSTV, they had a collaboration with GTV. So it tells you that at every point in time, you would necessarily need the local, establishment, local institution to be able to advance What do I do? So what about if tomorrow GBC says, so because of what I did that we pulled out, we are not going to offer any assistance? What
Well,
will
Star
happen?
Times says they are ready.
They are ready.
Yeah.
Would they be able to transmit to all? Did GFA look at that one? That the coverage of the matches, if for example Brekum Chelsea is playing, everybody around Brekum area, even the villages beyond Brekum, to Jinjin and all those places, should be able to have live transmission. Have they thought about that one? So it's not just about you, GFA as an institution, but it's about the people the product is meant for. This product, what you are going to produce, is meant for a group of people, for a particular customer. Will those people be able to have access to the product?
Okay.
It's a simple issue, but I think that it's still not late.
Yeah.
Maybe further engagement should be done
Between the two parties.
between the two parties. And I think at the
For the greater
instance
good.
of for the greater good of all of us, to the GFA, to Star Times, to GBC, and also to the Ghanaian who want to watch and to see its own.
Maybe one of the sports committee can also suggest this. But Honorable Aban, quite a few people have issues with you this morning. So I have 2 minutes. I'll use it to ask you questions. Hi, Citi, kindly read this for me. The government bought new pickups for various district health directories last year. As I text, they are parked at the National TB Secretariat at Kolebu, gathering dust. Please, when are you going to distribute them? Samuel from Kolebu.
Thank you. We have already given them to Ghana Health Service, so I will not be able to answer any further
They
than
are parked
that.
at Kolebu, so it's information. They have not been distributed.
Okay, so I'll talk to the Director General of Ghana Health Service to know what is going on.
This one is from my
The
original...
Onyadot is parked at Ghana Health Service.
My regional correspondent says the
Which
Upper
region?
West
Okay.
Regional Hospital is not fully functional. Most units are still closed to the public due to a lack of doctors, specialists, and other critical staff. There are only 5 doctors. That's against the 30 recommended by the Ghana Health Service. There isn't a single surgeon. The pediatrics unit, neurology unit, urology unit, cardiology unit, ophthalmology unit are all closed.
Good. When I was there, I actually got to know that the staff strength was 280, which was only about 50% of what they needed, including certain doctors which they had not got.
Yeah,
I made a passionate appeal to the medical officers that they should accept postings there. It's not as though Ghana Health Service does not post people there. Last year, 13 doctors were posted to Central Region, not Upper West, Central Region. None of them took up the appointment. It's a serious matter. And I think we have to
But if you say that you to be part of Central Region, and what facilities do you provide?
Is Central
What
Region.
facilities
Don't worry
do you
about
provide?
Don't worry about
Is it this
no.
issue of postings?
Listen.
I always have my problem with
Please,
it.
please.
If
Some of
somebody
them were
goes,
posted
somebody
even to
qualifies as a
Cape Coast
doctor,
itself.
and then you go and put him as a village, he doesn't even have accommodation, where to stay. How is the person going to function as a doctor?
When we're using the taxpayers' money, the taxpayer who is in the village, when we're using his money to train that doctor, did he
No, but you are not being fair to him.
Okay.
I think we should also look at
that is how we will end the big
must have the sort of
issue this weekend. A big thank you to Sydney Case Leaford, Salon Brandt here from Imani Ghana, Deputy Health Minister Alexander Aban, and the still speaking Honorable Nilatem Vandapo, a member of Parliament for Ododo Dio, who missed his match against Cosmos this morning. In fact, there's another issue Nilatem and I will bring up later on. The people who are taking the car Randolph Park. No, we are watching you. I'm happy. My name is Godfred Akoto Boafo. Have a good weekend.